Jenny Cornejo, and I will discussing to you the different types of connectors.
DB-type connector has 5 types. First is the DB9 connectors. The DB9 connectors is typical or common type of connector. DB9 has the smallest footprint in the subminiature or D subtype connectors. DB9 connectors were commonly used for serial peripheral devices like keyboard, mouse, joystick, and others. It also used in assemblies for data connectivity. The second is the DB15 connectors. DB15 connector is typically used in serial and parallel ports that allows to asynchronous data transmission. DB15 is a part of the subminiature connector and plug socket family for computers and communication devices. The third is DB25 connectors. DB25 is primarily used in serial connections allowing asynchronous data transmission of data provided by standards RS-232 or RS-232C. The fourth is the DB37 connectors. Male plug DB37 connectors are used primarily for analog input on our input expansion boards. The last from the DB connectors is the DB50 connectors. DB50 is a small computer system interface or SCSI application connector with 50 pins arranged in 3 rows. Centronic connectors has 4 types. The first is Centronics or male telco 36. It is designed to connect parallel devices with different connections. It can be connected to female DB25 to male Centronics. Second is the Centronics or female or telco 36. The Centronics 36-pin connector is arranged in 2 rows of pins, each with 18 contacts. The connector is held in place by bell locks. Lastly is the Centronic 50 or male. Instead of 50 pins sticking out of the connector as found on a SCSI DB50 male connector, the end of Centronic's 50 male connector is constructed of one long, narrow, where the pin has housed 25 on top and 25 on bottom. The HD type connectors has 3 types. The first is HD15 pin 1 connector. The HD15 is highly density DB style connector, so it can also be called an HDD15. The USB connectors has 2 types. First is the USB Type A connector. USB Type A connector is the common USB plug and socket. Type A is the port on the computer or the host. Second is the USB Type B connectors. Type B ports are found on USB hubs, printers, scanners, and other peripheral devices. The modular connectors has 2 types. First is the RJ11 4-wire connector. RJ11 is the standard connector utilized in 2-pair or 4-wire telephone wiring. The RJ45 8-wire connector. A registered jack 45 port is a data port often found on computers, network routers, switches, and hubs. The SCSI connectors has 3 types. First is the SCSI1 or male connector. The most common connector for the SCSI connectors is the Centronics 50 or Telco 50. Next is the SCSI2 or male connector. SCSI2 is the second version of SCSI. SCSI stands for short or small computer system interface and is the most commonly pronounced by SCSI. Next is the SCSI3 or male connector. SCSI3 cables from Elcom are manufactured to make or exceed SCSI standards. Let's move to DIN type connectors. First, 4-pin mini DIN connector. The 4-pin mini DIN connector is the proper name for what is commonly referenced as an S-video connector. Next is 5-pin DIN connector or female. The 5-pin DIN connector has 5 pins that are arranged in circular pattern. This type of connector was commonly used for order-style computer keyboards. Next is the 8-pin DIN connector or female. The 8-DIN female pin is a replacement part for your damaged or cracked factory female cable. So let's move fiber connectors. First is the SMA 905 connector. SMA 905 are the most commonly used with multi-mode fibers, have a stainless steel Purell design. Next is the SMA 906 connector. SMA 906 is also have stainless Purell design with 0.9 or 3.0 mm boots and features a precision stainless steel Purell for superior performance. Next is the ST connector. An optical fiber connector terminates the end of an optical fiber and enables quicker connection and disconnection than splicing. Next is the MTRJ connector. MTRJ stands for Mechanical Transfer Register Jack. MTRJ is a fiber optic cable connector that is very popular for small form factor devices due to its small size. Let's move to B-type connectors. First is the B.35 connectors. Basically, B.35 is the high-speed serial interface designed to support both higher data rates connectivity. Next is the B.24 connector. B.24 is a specification that defines the signal function. ISSO 2110 defines the pinout for DB25. Let's move to COS and Twinax connector. First is TNC connector. The interface specification for TNC and many other connector are referenced in MIL STD 348. Next is the BNC connector. The BNC connector is a miniature, quick connect and disconnect radio frequency connector used to coaxial cable. Next is the Twinax connector. Twinax is a type of cable similar to coaxial cable but 2 inner conductors instead of 1. Next is the F-type coax connector. The F connector is the coaxial RF connector commonly used for over-air, terrestrial television cable, and universally for satellite TV and cable modems. Next is the N-type coax connector. The N connector is a threaded, weatherproof, medium-sized RF connector used to join coaxial cables. Let's move to S connectors. First is the IEEE 488. It's a short-range digital communication 8-bit parallel multi-master interface bus specification. Next is the current loop interface. The current loop is a communication interface that uses current instead of voltage for signaling. Next is the data connector. A data connector is a process that moves data from database to another. Next is the AAUI. It's a mechanical redesign by Apple used to connect Ethernet to computer equipment. So that's all. Thank you.